Mark Zuckerberg studies the book of Genesis with a rabbi, and in his latest podcast answers some questions about God and the meaning of life. Okay, so let's jump into this. This is from Lex Friedman's podcast. If you guys don't know who Lex Friedman is, he's a podcaster. Initially I discovered him on the Joe Rogan podcast. And so we're going to be jumping into this conversation. Shout out to the online Patreon community. You guys are who fund all of this and allow us to do cool stuff and make sure the tech is on point. All right, so let's jump into this.
Human.
Maybe, but it was an intentional decision to not focus on our philanthropy on like explicitly on longevity or living forever.
Yes.
Yo, his pacing is hilarious, bro.
If at the moment of your death, and by the way, I like that the lights went out when we started talking about death. You get to meet
God. It does
God.
make it a lot more dramatic.
It does. I should get closer to the mic. At the moment of your death, you get to meet God, and you get to ask one question. What question would you like to ask?
First of all, that's a great question from Lex Friedman.
Yeah.
If you get to meet God at the end of your life and you get to ask him one question, what question would you ask? That's a good question. He's a good podcaster.
He's great. Yeah, he's very thoughtful.
Or maybe a whole conversation. I don't know. It's up to you. It's more dramatic when it's just one question.
Well, if it's only one question and I died.
Yeah.
Is he saying he's not sure if he's ever going to die?
Yeah, that's a weird if.
if I'm working on some stuff here.
I would just want to know that Priscilla and my family, like if they were going to be okay. That might depend on the circumstances of my death, but I think that in most circumstances that I can think of, that's probably the main thing that I would care about.
Now, is he talking about financially okay?
Yeah, what does okay mean?
I think
you'll
we
be
all
okay.
know they're going to be financially okay, Zuck.
Hey, Mark, you're fine.
You're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Maybe he's saying emotionally okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe that.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think God would hear that question and be like, all right, fine, you get in. That's the right question to ask.
Is it? I don't know.
The humility and selfishness. All right, you're in.
I mean, but well, maybe
They're gonna be fine. Don't worry, you're
okay.
in.
But I mean, one of the things that I think I struggle with at least is, on the one hand, that's probably the thing that's closest to me and maybe the most common human experience. But I don't know. One of the things that I just struggle with in terms of running this large enterprise is like, should the thing that I care more about be that responsibility? And I think it's shifted over time. I mean, like before I really had a family, that was like the only thing I cared about. And
This is great because he's saying, should the thing that I care the most about, it sounds like he's saying, should it be my contribution or what he thinks his contribution is to the world, which is, he's going to say connecting the world. I'm going to say distracting the world. Oof. That's neither here nor there, you know? Yeah. But he's wrestling through this idea of the innate desire in us to work and create.
Yeah.
And the ambition that men have versus being anchored by our family and our loved ones and like the meaning of that instead of the work. Is it all worth it? Like, what does it all mean at the end?
Yeah. It reminds me of the verse, one of my favorite verses, which is, your life is like the morning fog. It will come, it will go.
Sheesh!
And that is nuts because it puts this finite time on, or like this finite kind of amount of responsibility you actually have. Like, you're not really getting much done.
Yeah.
You're not really doing much.
Yes.
And so there's this juxtaposition of like, you have a very small amount of time. So the things that truly matter is probably relationship, family, friend, and then living for the Great Commission, right? Serving God, like ultimately, that's the biggest thing.
That's good.
But then someone dies in your life and you actually only have, like, you kind of just keep it pushing.
That's dark.
I'm serious. Like
dark.
The homie died and it's like, dag, like take a weekend and then you're like back to work. And so that's also this weird comparison to the curse of man.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it's like, I think God has clearly built us to work.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of value in that, providing for your family. So it's also not, I'm just going to go chill on the beach and hang out with my friends because that's all that matters. Life is like the morning fog.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's good. I was listening to this Lil Dicky interview with $1 million worth of game, and maybe we could react to that later. And he talks about how, you know, he goes to school, he's like graduates at the top of his class, then he like figures out a way to be a good rapper. He takes his bar mitzvah money, spends $6,000, gets a studio, drops a bunch of money on music videos, has 5 months of content, blows up. Then he drops in to a Kickstarter, raised $110,000 as an independent rapper at Kickstarter. Like this is like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Then he drops his album. Then he has a Billboard hit. Now he's doing the thing that the first or second thing he always wanted to do, which is comedy. He has his own show. He's a filmmaker. He wants to do a movie. You know, it's taken him 10 months out of the year to do this Lil Dicky show, or it's called Dave.
Yeah.
And he's like, I haven't put out an album since 2015. My core rap fan base is mad at me, but I want to make films and all this stuff. And then he's like, but like, that's not the meaning of life at the end of it all.
Yeah.
You know, like if he achieves this incredible level of greatness as a filmmaker and TV showrunner and all this comedy sketch writer and musician, he still thinks he's going to make better music, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, but like,
Why you say it like that? He still thinks he's going to make better music.
well, he
but
does.
anyways,
He really
okay.
believes that he's going to make,
Yeah.
he thinks he's going to, I don't know if he's going to go down as one of the greatest artists ever.
Yeah. but
That's what he
sees.
thinks.
Yeah.
But then again, I mean, like, who knows? Like, is Post Malone going to be one of the greatest artists ever? Like, who's actually going to hold that title? You know? So if he's thinking that of himself, and then he's also, but this isn't, he literally goes, but this isn't a healthy way to live.
Wow.
I know this isn't a healthy and sustainable way to live. So we all wrestle with this tension. We all wrestle with the tension of, or I do, I can't specify, all is an absolute statement. When I'm working, I feel guilty for not spending time with my family, but when I'm spending time with my family, I feel guilty for not working. You know?
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah, we humans are weird. You get this ability to impact millions of lives, and it's definitely something, billions of lives. It's something you care about. But the weird humans that are closest to us, those are the ones that mean the most. And I suppose that's the dream of the metaverse, is to connect, form small groups like that where you can have those intimate relationships. Let me ask you the big.
This man's so altruistic about the metaverse, as if it's not going to keep people away from the friends they love and have access to and just be in a screen.
Yeah, I think he's saying you have this opportunity to impact billions of lives. I think he has the opportunity to impact or to affect billions of lives.
Yep.
You only get an opportunity to impact a couple lives. You don't get a lot.
It's a good take.
You know what I'm saying? So like he can make Facebook,
Yeah.
but then some people join, you know, extreme groups
Yep.
because of the thing.
Yep.
And it wasn't like you didn't impact their life, you affected it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
It's a good take.
so it's like you really just created a product.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Well, and to be able to be close, not just based on who you happen to be next to. I think that's what the internet is already doing, is allowing you to spend more of your time not physically proximate. I mean, I always think when you think about
Is that a good thing though?
I was thinking about that.
Is that a good thing? Like, sure, but does that get in the way of you spending time with the people who are close, or not dealing with the people who are close that shouldn't be close? And so then you're just engaged in escaping.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I'm like, what if I could be like transported into the studio for our exact amount of time that we work and whatever. But then when I took off the metaverse goggles or whatever we're using, I'm like in my farm in Tennessee or whatever. And I was like, that still isn't, even though like it's like the best of both worlds, it isn't a way to live because you still miss the human interaction involved in your day to day. You're completely neglecting that side of things.
Correct.
the metaverse, people ask this question about the real world. It's like, the virtual world versus the real world. And it's like, no, the real world is a combination of the virtual world and the physical world. But I think over time, as we get more technology, the physical world is becoming less of a percent of the real world. And I think that opens up a lot of opportunities for people because, you can work in different places. You can stay closer to people who are in different places.
Yeah,
I think that's good.
Removing barriers of geography and then barriers of language. That's a beautiful vision. Big, ridiculous question. What do you think is the meaning of life?
I love the long awkward pause.
Yo, it's so long.
and the blinks.
Yo, it's so long. Keep playing it.
I think that
Bro, are you serious? Are you serious?
I love it.
That's what $1 billion gets you, bro. You can just chill when someone asks you a question.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm going to think about what I got to do tomorrow and the next day.
Right,
and then I'll think about your question for a second and then I'll answer it.
That's crazy.
there are probably a couple of different ways that I would go with this. But I think it gets back to this last question that we talked about the duality between you have the people around you who you care the most about, and then there's like this bigger thing that maybe you're building. And I think that in my own life, I mean, I sort of think about this tension, but I started this whole company and my life's work is around human connection. So I think it's...
Yeah, the story he tells himself about what he does is awesome. Bro.
It's crazy.
It makes me go, man, I gotta keep growing in self-awareness.
Yes.
Because he really thinks he's like, you know?
I always say this, like most of our jobs are just BS jobs.
Uh-huh.
Like if something were to happen, the grid goes down, Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have $1 billion. He's kind of like, he might be able to pivot to a newspaper, you know? But like generally speaking, our jobs are very luxury.
Yeah. No, it's true.
Intellectually, probably the thing that I go to first is just that human connection is the meaning. And I mean, I think that it's a thing that our society probably systematically undervalues. I mean, I just remember, when I was growing up and in school, it's like, do your homework and then go play with your friends after. And it's like, no, well, what if playing with your friends is the point?
Like that sounds like an argument your daughters would make.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just
Like
think
the
it's
homework
interesting.
doesn't even matter.
How about the Lex roast? That sounds like an argument your daughters would make. You goober.
And
Well, I think it's interesting because it's, there's a rabbi who I've studied with who kind of gave me this. We were talking through Genesis and the Bible and the Torah, and they're basically walking through. It's like,
So kudos to him for studying the Bible.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what that's like.
What do you mean?
Like, I just would love to peek in and like, what is Mark Zuck in a Bible study like?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
okay,
Torah
you go through the,
study.
the 7 days of creation, and it's basically, it's like, why does the Bible start there? Right? It's like it could have started anywhere, right? In terms of like how to live. But basically it starts with talking about how God created people in her image.
Mark,
Come on.
why are you misgendering God, my guy?
Not good.
He's like, man, I'm sitting with this rabbi. We're studying the Bible.
Yeah. What does a rabbi say?
Yeah, and I'm sure the rabbi is not co-signing.
The rabbi. Rabbi's
her.
not woke, bro.
Yeah, her. Like, come on, bro. But he goes on to make a good point. But it's like this, like, I was listening to that PBD Charlie Kirk interview, and he talks about how most people in the West, when they talk about God, still placate to like very like liberal language.
Yeah.
Instead of just saying the thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's why they were specifically talking about Andrew Tate finding Islam more appealing, but that's why folks who are not of the Christian faith or of the Judeo-Christian faith tend to, kind of strike out on this like very his or her. Like,
I wonder how many
stop,
Facebook employees would have quit if he didn't say her in that.
I don't think anybody would have quit. I think this is just an overcorrection, bro.
I know, but what if it does have like it leaks? Like,
I don't think so.
Did you hear that boss said him when talking about God?
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't think at all. I don't think at all. I think this is just the language that he's accustomed to using in these sorts of situations.
Yeah.
But the Bible starts by talking about how God created everything. So I actually think that there's like a compelling argument that I think I've always just found meaningful and inspiring, that a lot of the point of what sort of religion has been telling us that we should do is to create.
That's an interesting theme he has of religion inspires and encourages us to create things.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that.
Yeah, I think it's valid. I mean, I think as Christians, we talk about that a lot, even on the Master YouTube Live channel, talking about how our God is a creator, and so us creating things is reflecting His image.
Right.
To just take that is a little like, all right, yeah. Like God did open with creating the world.
Yes.
If you were as impacted about the other things in the Bible, like there's a lot of stuff in the Bible.
Yeah.
If you were as impacted about all the other things in the Bible, your life would change.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't just think that it's all about creating. But it is true.
It is true, but it is true, and he's also coming from a Jewish perspective, which if we consider what makes the Christian faith unique is that it's not just God wants you to create things. There's that too, but that it's that God wants to be known and wants to know you, and there's a relational, covenantal aspect to it that's beyond just rule keeping and executing.
Yeah.
That's good. Like you should rule keep and you should think and you should execute, but you should also want a desire to know God and make Him known as well.
Yeah.
Right? It goes back to the Great Commission. The fact that he's thinking about these sorts of things, I think is a huge W. He or her, I think, was a massive L that I just like, bro, just say what you mean.
It's so subtle too.
It's very subtle.
It's like a drive-by.
Yeah. Yeah. If you can, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure the bell notification is on so you don't miss anything. And if you want to go the extra mile and partner with us for as little as $5 a month to keep us independent and answering only to you so that we don't have to take any brand deals ever and make goofy commercials like these, head on over and join our online community.
Our friends at Genucel Skincare have exciting news to celebrate in 2023.
Using Manscaped during my showers after workout has given me much more confidence.
And that's where Mud Water comes in.
True Classic has got your back.
All thanks to the sponsor of today's video, SayMine.com.
Established Titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Laird or Lady. Subject to credit approval, rates range from 7.99% APR to 19.99% APR, included 0.50% auto pay discount.
If you don't want us to make ads with brands you don't care about, sign up for our online community for as little as $5 a month to keep us independent and ultimately answering to you as our boss. You get all sorts of benefits like daily replays of our after party streams, exclusive access to our Discord community, and early access to our podcast interviews, all starting for only $5 a month.